I think you and I were saying, what are we going to do? It was a pretty sad time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were depressed.
It seems like this cycle goes around and sad times come.
Some legacies are carved not in marble or granite, but in melodies, lyrics, and the hearts of millions. When a song becomes a prayer and a stage becomes a sanctuary, you know you're witnessing something extraordinary. In an era where music constantly evolves, a few rare artists stand the test of time. Not just because of their talent, but because of the truth they carry in every note. Bill and Gloria Gaither have shaped generations through music, faith, and a commitment to something deeper than success, ministry. Their songs have echoed in churches, filled living rooms with hope, and walked countless people through life's hardest and holiest moments. The journey wasn't without challenges. And now, as recent news around Gloria's health circulates, many are asking, what's next for Bill Gaither? Today we explore the man, the mission, and the milestone moments that made Bill and Gloria Gaither icons of gospel music and what the future might look like for them. Now, before the world came to know Bill Gaither as a gospel music legend, he was simply a young English teacher in Alexandria, Indiana. Someone with a love for literature and a passion for music that quietly simmered beneath the surface of daily lesson plans and classroom chalk dust. But even then, something about his path was already shifting, nudging him towards something bigger than he could yet imagine. It was in the hallways of Alexandria Monroe High School where fate stepped in. Though at first glance it looked more like an ordinary staff meeting than a life-changing encounter. Across the faculty room sat Gloria Cycle, a poised and articulate French teacher with a presence that drew attention not for loudness but for depth. Gloria wasn't just a teacher. She was a scholar, a triple major in English, French, and sociology from Anderson University. Her mind was as sharp as her spirit was thoughtful. And it wasn't long before she and Bill discovered their mutual passion for education, faith, and creativity. Their conversations were effortless. Literature, philosophy, music, and ministry flowed between them like a duet that had always existed. They found themselves drawn to the same ideals, the same sense of calling. It was as if their souls were writing verses to the same song long before they ever sat down with pen and paper. By 1962, those harmonies became permanent when Bill and Gloria married. Not just as husband and wife, but as creative partners, destined to impact Christian music in ways no one had anticipated. In those early years, their lives were still anchored in the classroom. Bill taught English, Gloria taught French, and they worked side by side during the day, writing songs in the evenings and weekends, often on kitchen tables and in quiet moments after school events. The balance between teaching and songwriting was delicate, yet filled with purpose. Every lesson taught in the classroom and every song lyric drafted in those days held a kind of earnestness. Both professions in their eyes were about reaching hearts and shaping lives. The turning point came in 1964 when Bill wrote a song titled He Touched Me. Its impact was immediate. Its message resonant. It wasn't just another Christian tune. It was a testimony wrapped in melody, and it found its way into the hearts of people far beyond the small-town borders they had once known. Suddenly, what had once been a side pursuit started to look like a calling. The classroom was no longer big and auto-contained the vision that was unfolding. By 1967, Bill took a leap that few would dare to make. He left the security of teaching behind, trusting that this music, this ministry was more than just a dream. Gloria followed soon after. And soundbook boards gave way to microphones. Lesson plans were replaced with tour schedules, and the Gaithers stepped onto a new stage literally. With Bill's brother, Danny, the Bill Gaither Trio was formed. And what followed was a whirlwind of performances, albums, and an expanding audience that grew with each heartfelt lyric. They weren't just entertaining crowds. They were ministering. Each concert was a mixture of music and message, joy and conviction. People weren't just clapping. They were crying, praying, and finding hope. What made the Gaithers stand out was never just their musical talent, though that was undeniable. It was the way their songs told stories of faith, of doubt, of redemption, of home. Gloria's poetic mind and Bill's musical instinct were a divine combination. Their lyrics were thoughtful without being preachy and emotional, without being sentimental. You could listen to a Gaither song and feel like someone had seen your soul and sung it back to you. From their humble beginnings in Indiana classrooms to stages across the world, Bill and Gloria Gaither's journey is a testament to what happens when faith meets purpose. And when two lives in tune with each other find their voice in a song that never stops playing. It's rare for a song to outlive the moment it was written for, to move from a melody to a movement, from a lyric to a legacy. But that's exactly what Bill and Gloria Gaither have done time and again. Their songs didn't just top Christian charts. They made their way into church pews, hospital rooms, and living rooms around the world. These weren't just songs. They became modern hymns offering comfort, conviction, and hope to millions across generations. Take Because He Lives. It was written during a deeply uncertain time in their lives. Turmoil in the world, fear of the future, and the birth of their son, Ben, all collided in a whirlwind of anxiety and reflection. In the middle of that storm, they found a line that would anchor them and so many others. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. That wasn't just a lyric. That was a declaration. The song caught fire not because it was flashy, but because it was real, raw, reassuring, and rooted in deep faith. And it wasn't an isolated masterpiece. That He Touched Me had already paved the way. One of Bill's earliest songs and still one of the most personal. Written in 1963, it was born out of a simple phrase that a preacher used in a service. But when Bill put it to music, it became more than a memory. It became a testimony. The moment Elvis Presley recorded it, it reached a new level of influence, taking gospel music to place it hadn't been before. Then there's Thinking Is Coming. A song that feels almost cinematic in its power. With sweeping imagery and bold declarations, it painted a picture of Jesus' return that stirred excitement and reverence. For many, it was the first time theology felt like poetry. And in contrast, the simple yet deeply moving Jesus, There's Something About That Name, reminded everyone that even the smallest phrase, when sung from the soul, can become eternal. What's fascinating is how Bill and Gloria created together. She was the wordsmith, the storyteller who understood nuance and human emotion. He was the composer, the one who heard melodies in everyday moments. They didn't just collaborate, they conversed through their art. Their songs weren't just co-written, they were co-lived. By 2012, they had penned over 700 songs together. That's not just prolific. It's almost pastoral. Their music wasn't aimed at radio hits. It was aimed at the arts. But the Gaithers were never just songwriters. They were performers, pioneers, and visionaries. The Bill Gaither Trio was the seed of it all, with Bill, his brother Danny, and Gloria traveling together, blending harmonies that felt both familiar and heavenly. Their voices were smooth, their message sincere, and their stage presence humble yet powerful. But as music evolved, so did their ministry. Enter the Gaither Vocal Band. This wasn't just a new group. It was a new chapter. Creating a space where fans could connect more deeply with the message and the music, books, devotionals, DVDs. Every product reflected the same spiritual depth the Gaithers were known for on stage. And let's not overlook the Gaither copyright management branch. This was key in ensuring that their songs, so many of which have become part of the global Christian lexicon, remained under their care and control. It wasn't just about protecting intellectual property. It was about safeguarding the message. With hundreds of songs written and covered by artists around the world, this level of stewardship was essential to maintaining their spiritual and artistic integrity. In the 1990s, Bill took another bold step by co-founding Spring Hill Music Group. It was a way to stay independent and retain full creative and commercial control. With this, they could shape not just the music but how it was distributed and received. In an era when many artists were at the mercy of corporate record labels, the Gaithers were setting their own course, guided by faith, not market trends. Their brand has always been more than a business. It's a ministry wrapped in professionalism. What makes it so remarkable is the consistency. Whether it's a live concert, a DVD series, a magazine issue, or a piece of merchandise, the heart behind it is the same: to encourage, uplift, and glorify God. But even with all the success, the Gaither journey has not been without sorrow. In 2001, Bill's brother, Danny Gaither, his original singing partner in the Bill Gaither Trio, passed away after a long battle with disease. His voice had once been a defining sound of the trio, a warm and pure tenor that shaped early Gaither music. His loss was not just a professional one, but a deeply personal grief. Bill didn't just lose a bandmate. He lost a brother, a friend, and a co-minister in music. Then in 2018, the Gaither family faced another heavy blow with the passing of Marianne Gaither, their sister and fellow original trio member. Marianne brought her own unique light-air performances. Humble, joyful, and deeply rooted in faith. Losing both siblings who had stood beside him in the earliest days of ministry carved a deep ache in Bill's heart. And yet through it all, the music didn't stop. It evolved. It deepened. It took on new shades of hope and healing. Because when the Gaithers sing about loss, it's not theoretical. It's lived. When they write about heaven, it's not abstract. It's a longing shaped by personal grief and anchored in unshakable faith. That's why the Gaither legacy isn't just built on songs. It's built on truth. Raw, beautiful, enduring truth. And whether through a business venture or a tear-streaked lyric, that truth continues to resonate. Within the Gaither story, there's one figure whose presence has always been quietly powerful. Gloria Gaither. While Bill often stood center stage, Gloria's pen carved the very soul of their ministry. She's not just a lyricist, she's a theologian in verse, a scholar with the heart of a poet. And though some outside the gospel world might overlook her, those who truly listen know that her voice, especially in written form, is one of the most profound of her generation. Gloria's academic path was as intentional as her songwriting. In 1991, while already deeply involved in ministry and family life, she earned her Master of Arts in British and American Literature from Ball State University. That pursuit wasn't about titles or accolades. It was about going deeper into language, deeper into meaning. And you can hear that depth in the lyrics she's penned. Songs that wrestle with real human struggles. Doubt, grace, identity, suffering, and the mystery of God. Gloria never sugar-coated the Christian walk. She honored the valleys just as much as the mountaintops. Over the years she authored more than 40 books, including 20 specifically written for children. Her work for young readers isn't just fluff and rhymes, that it's rich with spiritual substance, layered with gentle truths that children can carry into adulthood. She had a gift for distilling big theological ideas into warm, accessible language, planting seeds of faith in little hearts. And her work hasn't gone unnoticed in academic and spiritual circles. Gloria has received 7 honorary doctorate degrees. An acknowledgement not just of her writing, but of the way her mind and spirit have shaped the conversation around faith in modern music and literature. You won't find many gospel lyricists discussed in seminary classrooms, but Gloria Gaither is the exception. She brought intellectual rigor to Christian songwriting without ever losing the emotional and spiritual core. Her lyrics didn't just fill songs, they filled gaps in understanding. They gave words to prayers people couldn't form. They offered a mirror to questions many were afraid to ask. And in doing so, she gave gospel music a new kind of voice, one that felt both ancient and contemporary, poetic and practical. But in recent years, a quiet concern has emerged among fans and followers. Gloria's health has come into question. Though the Gaither Shave never released an official statement detailing her condition, those who followed their journey closely have noticed her reduced presence and the whispered updates that suggest a private battle. What that means for the future is still unknown. But the love and prayers from around the world speak volumes. For many, Gloria's health is not just a headline. It's personal. Her words have walked them through grief, doubt, and renewal. And now they offer their hearts back to the one who once held theirs through a song. All of this naturally leads to another question that's quietly rippling through the gospel community. Are we nearing the end of the Gaither era? No, Bill Gaither hasn't announced any retirement. No, there hasn't been a farewell tour or a dramatic last concert. But the signs are there. Fewer public appearances, less frequent Gaither homecoming productions. Bill, now in his late 80s, has spoken more about family reflection and the importance of cherishing the moments that remain. The energy that once fueled countless tours and recordings have shifted. Still passionate, but now more tender, more rooted in memory than momentum. That it's not so much a goodbye as it is a gentle fade into a quieter season. The kind of transition that feels like a sunset full of color, beauty, and peace. And maybe that's the way it should be, not with a sudden stop, but with a final chorus that lingers. Still, even if Bill and Gloria never write or sing another word, their impact is already eternal. Their songs, books, concerts, and testimonies have become part of the spiritual DNA of millions. The Gaither legacy isn't closing. It's echoing through church choirs, living room worship sessions, and quiet car rides where someone hits play and once again hears because he lives and finds strength for tomorrow. The Gaithers didn't just write songs. They wrote testimonies. Their music transcended denominations, generations, and even genres. They are often credited with keeping Southern gospel alive during periods when it was fading from the mainstream. But more than that, they modernized it, giving it warmth, depth, and universal appeal. From Elvis to country legends to small-town church choirs, their songs have been sung in stadiums and sanctuaries alike. And for many, those songs are the soundtrack to life's biggest moments. Births, weddings, funerals, baptisms, and late-night cries for peace. In a world obsessed with fame, the Gaithers remind us of the power of faithful consistency. They didn't chase trends. They created timeless work. They didn't just talk about God. They invited people into aerial lived experience of grace. Even now facing health challenges and the reality of aging. Fans who had attended his concerts for decades spoke about how his music had carried them through the hardest times in life, loss, sickness, and moments of doubt. Many shared stories of playing his songs at funerals, weddings, or during sleepless nights when they needed strength. For them, Gaither was not just a singer or songwriter, that he was a companion in faith. The gospel community also stood firmly behind him, calling him a legend whose work would never be forgotten. David Phelps, one of the most celebrated voices of the Gaither vocal band, called him a true father figure in gospel music and praised him for mentoring younger generations with love and patience. This wave of love showed that while Gaither was stepping away from the stage, his presence in people's hearts was as strong as ever. It was proof that the impact of his music stretched far beyond sold-out concerts. It had become part of people's spiritual journeys, woven into their most personal memories. For Gaither, this support was a reminder that even though his performing days were behind him, the mission he began decades ago was still alive and growing in the voices of those he inspired. Even after leaving the stage, Gaither remained deeply involved in teaching, mentoring, and guiding the future of gospel music. Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates just like this.